Bonsoir, live stream watchers. This has been a fun heads-up match.
That is
25 and 50,000 blinds with a 5,000 ante. Good luck, gentlemen. Shuffle up and deal.
You heard the voice there of McLean Carr, who's still in the booth with me.
7.7 million chips. 3.55 million for Adrian.
I love the Euros.
Oh, I know.
It's just a fantastic money. The currency is great.
Nothing's better than purple euros.
Just really, really cool. Although I'm a fan of the new $100 bills in the States.
Also purple.
Yeah. Kind of nice. By the way, Kev Math sent a tweet in, said it should be called, and I was talking about the graph that we've seen numerous times, and I'm sure we'll see it at one point. It should be called the McLean Carr Bar. See what I did there?
That's awesome.
That was from...
Thanks, Kevin. Of course he's watching. He is everywhere. He is ubiquitous in poker.
So here we are, new level. Blinds are 25,000, 50,000 with a 5,000 ante. Still plenty of play. Our short stack is 70 big blinds. Our big stack, the Frenchman Fabrice Soulier, with well over 100.
One for you, one for me. He's got two.
And it'll be interesting to see how this kid comes back. You know, he had a really, really tough last 40 minutes of that level.
Yeah, Fabrice got hit in the face by the deck, and he had the second best holding in a lot of cases. It was a tough run of cards. Now we get to see what he's made of.
Fabrice calls. Adrian raises 75,000 more.
Levels are 90 minutes long. David Tuckman, McLean Carr in the booth. If you want to join our broadcast, you can through Twitter. You can tweet us at WSOP or at Tuck on Sports. We've been just outside Paris for about 2 weeks, and it looks like we'll be here for at least, my guess is at least a couple more hours.
Well, who's to say? You never know. It can always.
What are the odds of entering this level?
I mean, they're nice long levels, and we did see a lot of chips change hands last level, which was...
These guys aren't afraid to put the chips in the pot.
I think it can end this level probably about 27% of the time.
So you're giving 3 to 1.
Yeah, roughly.
I would take that. I would put money on that. At 3 to 1. At 3 to 1 to end in this level, yeah. The way the chips flew around. I remember we started the last level. Mateos had 9 million chips.
Yep.
To Soulier's 2 million.
True.
When we started heads up play, it was 4.5 to 1, and we've had a complete reversal. So it's certainly. I mean, I always look at it. I'm like, we could be 1 hand away, but we're easily 2 hands away.
But riddle me this, David. Think about the fact that these were big pots, but because we're so deep, no one was all in. We didn't have any all-ins. And when people get a little bit shorter, they might try to grind it out a little bit more.
I know Fabrice's friends are here supporting him with the scarves, but they look like bandits to me.
Well, and that might be part of the marketing plan. I know this Jacques brand clothes, they make a lot of great clothes, fashionable. You can wear them in poker and regular life, whatever. And Fabrice, I think, might have some sort of connection with that. So they might be doing their own little, get the word out about Jacques. It's a cool name.
Fabrice folds. Adrian takes this one down.
Mateos takes the pot down. Small little pot. Mateos had a pretty big draw there. Open-ended.
You know, it's interesting how you have these different poker clothing companies. 3-Bet's kind of the comfy sort of Lululemon of poker, activewear, whereas Jacques is trying to be a little bit more of the fashion-forward one.
Yeah, I know the poker industry is huge, and I know there's millions upon millions of poker players. I wonder if there's really a need, because I look at most poker players. Most poker players don't really care what they wear, it seems like. I just wonder if there's a market for it. Who knows? Fabrice Soulier, Adrian Mateos, heads up for the bracelet. And for the 390,000 euro difference between first and second place. If you're wondering how we got here, we came back today with 6 players. We started this tournament with over 370. 375 to be exact. Prize pool of 3.6 million. And when we came back 6-handed, Benny Spindler, well, he was driving about, what did we say, 300 miles an hour?
I think it was 350.
There you go. And Spindler was gone about 32 hands later. He was determined to either win this tournament or be out by 3 o'clock, and out it was. He took home 126,000. Ravi Raghavan from Chicago, Illinois, was gone in 5th place when his royal flush draw didn't get there. The local amateur, Shigshээ, tried the bluff of the tournament with 4-3 of clubs. Unfortunately for him, Soulier had aces and queens, 2 pair, couldn't fold, and Shigshээ was gone in 4th place. Dominic Nietzsche played fairly well throughout, but seemed to implode just a little bit at the end. Got it in with, was it 8-7?
9-8 off.
9-8 off suit.
Which he 3-bet all in. He had over 20 big blinds.
24 big blinds to be exact.
Yeah, it was a pretty big shove. He did end up having about a 60-40, and it didn't go his way.
And Nietzsche was gone in 3rd place. He added 400,000 euros to his bankroll. And when we got heads up, Mateos had 9 million chips. Soulier had 2 million chips. If you're wondering how that's changed, that was only, I would say, less than 50 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was a really short burst of hands where Soulier ended up having boat over boat, trips against top pair, then he made a straight against top pair, and he got really good value off his hands when he was up against the second best.
I mean, in the span of like 40 minutes, he had a set of 7s. He hit top pair about 5 times.
Yeah, that's
he
true,
hit the straight with the 5-4.
4 of spades, check of hearts, queen of spades. Adrian checks.
And the big hand was when he filled up with the 9 after Mateos had tripped had gotten trips on the turn. And in fact, actually flop trips, pardon me. Flop came out 9-4-4.
Right.
With a deuce on the turn and then a 9 on the river. And that's how we are here. 169 hands into this final table. Mateos with about 3.7 million chips. Fabrice Soulier with 7.5 million.
Doesn't choose to lead this time, interestingly enough.
It's almost become the norm for him. The check call, lead out on the turn.
Right.
Might be because the turn was an ace, rather than just like you know, a raggy deuce.
I'm sure that has a huge impact on how he's choosing to play the hand.
Well, he's going to check call.
Green calls.
Calls 185, 15.
Pot now 760,000 chips.
River is it then?
Well, that's an interesting card.
Wow. This.
A king gives anybody a straight. Hearts got there, backdoor hearts. Mateos checks. I'm not sure if he looks sick or he's ready to pounce.
Yeah, we'll see very shortly here. He's gonna make the quick call.
He calls.
Catching.
That's 390,000.
390.
Two pair does he have, or straight?
I think he's got a straight. Looks like he's got king jack. There it is.
Okay.
Well, there you go. I was waiting for Fabrice to bluff, and he finally did. I have not seen that most of the afternoon. He bluffs, and Mateos. It looked like when he checked, it was like almost like a little like ready to pounce moment. I wasn't sure how to read it, but clearly he was checking with the intention of inducing.
Right, right. And I gotta say, Fabrice was in the hand. If he's gonna bluff, those are 2 pretty decent cards to maybe try to take it away. It's hard to call with a lot of hands there. Unfortunately, Mateos had the hand that.
What was the bet size? See what the river bet size was? Trying to think what the bet size was relative to the pot.
Well, he did call with the 500K.
Yeah, I just don't know if that was.
It was probably a little bit less than that.
Fabrice gets the walk. Mateos back up to 4.5 million. So he's back up to 90 big blinds. Mateos, I imagine, folding the bottom 5–10% of his range as he folds 8 deuce on the button.
And he looks a little refreshed coming back from the break. Maybe a little fortuitous for him that the break was when it was, and it gives him a little chance to rehack the clock and get back in this.
Well, you had said, I mean, sometimes the best thing you can do if you can't get that cup of tea is take a break. Sometimes you can't get that break, especially in heads-up play. But we've seen players not take the break, and it's like, no, take it.
No, I
go
definitely
outside, regroup for a second.
Wash your face is a big thing.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, and studies have shown this. Like, there are actual scientists who have shown that by cleaning something or washing, changing your shirt, taking a shower, washing your face, actually has a psychological impact on you and can give you a whole sense of renewal and help change.
Where is this? Where is this scientific report, or are you just making this up?
I am not making this up at all. This is for real. I wish I had access to the internet right now in the booth. Unfortunately, we're in our techno cone of silence, and I can't access it. But maybe on the next break, I'll try to find it.
If you are just joining us, we are on a 15-minute delay, the live stream, but we have no access to any technology. Make sure the integrity of the game is upheld. Mateos bets 100,000 into 210. Back over to Fabrice. And Fabrice gives it up.
And this is just what every player dreams of. It's being in a spot like this, playing for a main event bracelet, 400,000 euros pay difference on the line, potentially €1 million you could be walking away with tonight. It's so awesome. The sort of pressure you want to step up, play your biggest game, play your best game on the biggest stage. I'm really jealous of these guys, I gotta say, and it's fun to watch.
I think any poker player would be.
Yeah, of course.
You're playing for a World Series of Poker bracelet. You're playing for €1 million. All the lights, the cameras. This is why you play. This is why you play tournament poker.
Oh yeah.
For this moment. A raise from Fabrice, a call from Mateos. Flop is 7 high.
6 of diamonds, 7 hearts.
Very straighty, 7-6-5.
And I'm happy that it didn't just end with Mateos running over Fabrice and going to the victory. That now whoever wins it, either side, has had to put up with a little bit of adversity, and it just makes a better story, more satisfying.
As long as I catch
victory.
my flight at 4 p.m. tomorrow, I don't care. I love my job. I love what I do. So as long as I can catch my flight at 4 p.m., it's all good.
I'd say that's very likely.
6 bets, 225,000.
Adrian bets 225,000.
Well, if the flop was interesting, the turn's even more interesting. Mateos now bets 225,000. This is one of those check call lead outs. Fabrice calls. Pot now 850,000. When Fabrice calls, oh wow,
great
straight
card.
On the board.
Adrian is first.
When Fabrice calls the turn, what are you putting him on?
Well, I'm assuming that he's connected with the board in some way. He either has a decent pair and a straight draw, maybe a 2-pair.
I mean, what's his plan if he has like bottom 2 pair? So he calls once, but then what's he going to do on the river?
He'd probably just call again.
525,000 for Breeze call.
Goes check, check, and
Straight on the board.
wow.
See what I have on the flop?
Wait. Fabrice flopped the straight.
See the flop?
Fabrice flopped the straight. Mateos got unlucky on the river, so it went back and forth.
Yeah.
Mateos thinking he got unlucky. In fact, you could argue that he got very lucky.
Right. And that's the nature of this game. It goes back and forth. Turning on a dime.
Running straight cards, and they chopped that one up. Fabrice with about a 3-2 chip advantage.
21.
As we head into level 26, blinds 25,000, 50,000. McLean Carr, David Tuckman here in the booth for the 7th annual World Series of Poker Europe. This is it. We've already awarded 7 bracelets this week, the last 2 weeks, I should say. And this is all that is to be decided Daniel Negreanu was already locked up Player of the Year. He's won his 6th bracelet.
Such a great story for poker and
the only
Daniel Negreanu.
The only thing left to be determined is this heads-up match and the November 9, which will take place November 4th and 5th in Las Vegas, and you can watch that. You can watch that live stream on ESPN.
Who's your pick for the World Series of Poker main event in Vegas?
Not only does he have the chip lead, but I just think he's a phenomenal player. Is J.C. Tran? I've got to go with him.
I think that's a great pick. I think that
even if he was 3rd in chips, I'd still go with him.
Depending on.
Obviously.
Right, but yeah, I think that's a great pick.
Depending on, I mean, if the chip leader had 120 million and he had 6 million, I probably wouldn't pick him. But if all things were equal, I think J.C. Tran is an absolute. I just think he's such a good poker player.
He's fantastic.
He's my. He is my pick.
And he's very emotionally strong when it comes to dealing with swings. If he were in this heads-up match, I don't think that he would be he would be unflappable, is what I would say.
I like it. He's got, you know, he's got a 2.5-year-old son.
Oh yeah.
He's got a kid on the way.
Yep.
He's a family man.
He's a fisher. You know, he likes to go fishing. He's just, you know, he's the well-rounded everyday man.
Check's good.
Checks.
Like, diapers aren't cheap. You know what? Let him win first place. All clubs out there. Well, not all clubs, but running clubs, and there are 4 clubs out there. Mateos checks. Fabrice now bets. Looks like about 150.
Yeah, just a little bit, maybe 175.
That's 175.
It is 175. Good call. So a little bit under half the pot.
And it takes
And
it down.
Mateos gives it up.
Oh, very strong hand for Fabrice, though.
Yeah, Fabrice has the second nut flush. And yes, I do know that the straight flush is possible, but
And got there on the river. The river has been kind to Fabrice.
it has been. Mateos flop second pair.
Still not a huge pot, so we move on. I love the huge wall of plaques that Fabrice has going back there, though. That looks so cool.
6 raises to 100,000.
All right, Adrian raises to 100,000.
I'm a pretty proud American, and I feel like there are many things that we do well. If there's something that I would take from France, it would be those plaques.
But then would they be as special? If we took them and everyone had them, then would it be as cool when we're here playing with them?
It'd still be cool.
It would still be cool, but it would take maybe a little bit away.
I suppose. Mateos bets. Mateos takes it. And if you're wondering what the plaques are worth, the yellow gold ones are worth 500,000 each. The blue ones are worth 100,000 each. The red chips are worth 25K. The gray chips are worth 5K. And that is just outside the casino, Berrière. That is a beautiful Lake Angan. And it was just about 250 years ago that a priest discovered a small sulfur stream. And that's where a spa resort was born here. Just 11.5 kilometers outside of Paris. George Clyde Smith tweets in, who's your favorite to win? Now, he asked this question earlier on when it was a 4.5 to 1 chip advantage for Mateos, so I didn't bother ask that question then. But now, it's 3 to 2 for Fabrice. Who's going to win this?
Well, if the cards keep going the way they're going, here's another top pair for Fabrice. It's hard to go against Fabrice. But I got to say, I like Mateos' game. If he can keep his composure, I could see him maybe gaining the edge and winning. But right now, I think with the chip lead and the momentum, I would go Fabrice.
If somebody gave me odds, I would take Mateos. And in fact, if Mateos retakes the lead, I firmly believe he will win this.
And in that case, the momentum will be back in his favor. But they are so deep, and we could conceivably have multiple league changes from this
for
point.
sure.
So they're really anyone's game, and that's part of what makes this so exciting to watch.
Fabrice has got a 3 to 2 chip advantage. If somebody were to give me 3 to 2, I would happily take Mateos. And that is no slight on Fabrice's game. I'm a big believer in this the 19-year-old Spaniard. A raise from Mateos, a 3-bet from Fabrice, a 4-bet from Mateos.
This is, I think, our first 4-bet heads up.
It is. Well, remember, earlier on, they weren't effectively deep enough to really do 4-bets.
Well,
when it was, I'm saying when Fabrice only had 2.5 or 3 million chips.
Well, I don't know. I think you see a lot of players finding room to do 4-bets with, and maybe it's not Fabrice when he's that short, but there are plenty of players out there that find when they have 30 big blinds, that's enough to.
How about a 5-bet?
Ooh, this is exciting.
Well, I'll defer to you.
225.
This is a pivotal pot now for whoever wins it.
Oh,
Fabrice! Sensing weakness, putting it upstairs.
You wonder if he's got to tell.
He's got good
We haven't
livery.
seen that all day, and that's a 5-bet bluff from Fabrice Soulier. He is stepping up his game right now, and wow, and now up to 7.3 million.
Maybe that was part of his strategy, you know, and a lot of players get into a game flow element where they think, oh, this is the first 4-bet. They should never have it the first time so that they can get paid off the second time. And maybe he doesn't have it here. A little bit of game flow, a little bit of read, and he just kind of gets the feeling in his gut, and now he has the chips where he can put out $1 million and fold, and it doesn't end his tournament. Great spot for Fabrice.
I mean, put me in the camp of there is no way that I thought Fabrice was 5-bet bluffing.
So now that you know that he's capable of this, does this alter your decision on who you think will win? Does this alter the odds a little bit? Do you give Fabrice maybe a little more credit?
Oh, I think, like I said, I think Fabrice is a fantastic player.
Yes,
this is no slight. I like Mateos' game, and I'd still, like I said, if I was getting the proper odds based on the chips, I would go with Mateos, happily. That hand, though, quite impressive.
Very impressive. Nice hand, Fabrice.
It was something I did not expect, that is for sure. Let us know what you think at WSOP, at Tuck on Sports. Mateos raising to 100,000. A 3-bet really starting to put the pressure on his opponent.
And maybe he just feels like this is the time and the great hand, but maybe the momentum's in his favor now, and he knows that he hasn't had a lot of pre-flop action the entire match, and now when the stakes are the highest, he can get a few through.
You know, I'm the first person to bring up any mistakes that I might make, and I'll say, you know what? Maybe I judged Fabrice a little bit wrong in the sense, earlier on he wasn't playing as aggressive. But let's look who was at his left. On his left was Dominic Nietzsche, who had chips, and the chip leader in Adrian Mateos.
Right.
Directly on his left were those two players. And that might have handcuffed him just a little bit. Now that he's got chips and they're heads up, he's changed his game a little bit.
Yeah.
Give him some credit.
He's opening things up a little bit more. He doesn't feel like he's at risk as much, so now he's allowing him to loosen up his game a bit and try to look for new spots to gain advantages.
McLean Carr, David Tuckman in the booth. Heads up, the World Series of Poker Europe main event. Phil Hellmuth did play in this event. He did not cash, but he did cash for the 100th time in the history of the World Series of Poker, his 100th cash this week.
Some serious staying power in the world of poker for Phil Hellmuth. He just has found a way to win year in and year out.
Looks like a check raise here. Actually, pardon me, it's not a check raise. It's one of those lead-out bets from Mateos and a raise from Soulier.
Just a little raise.
And a call.
Adrian calls.
Pot's now 770,000. This went check on the flop. Then Mateos let out for 125. Fabrice raised to 275. Mateos called.
Thank you. Sorry, I could have put it some.
These guys have definitely been playing some bigger pots as the heads up has progressed.
River's an interesting card. Mateos checks. Fabrice checks it back immediately.
Great check by Fabrice. Fabrice could only beat a draw and didn't think he could get Mateos to fold. He was absolutely right. Mateos had gotten really strong on the river.
I thought Fabrice had picked up diamonds. He didn't. He was just raising with king high.
Yep. He just is showing that he can raise when he doesn't have it too, maybe. He's adding some more bluffs to his game now. He's maybe looking to, when he does wake up with another big hand, make sure he gets value.
The name on this list you don't see, Dan Steinberg. Daniel Steinberg finished in 9th. Shannon Shore, 8th place. Andre Konopelko, 7th place. They got 6. They got down to 6 actually 2 days ago, and they brought 6 back today. We saw Benny Spindler knocked out right around the hand 32 or hand 33, and Dominic Nietzsche was gone with 400,000 euros in his pocket. And our chip leader, Fabrice Soulier, won his first bracelet and his only bracelet in 2011 in a 10K horse event. Looking for his second bracelet. He came into today's action 3rd in chips. Adrian Mateos was our chip leader.
I don't know why they bother putting the 100 euros out there too. Why not just all purple?
It's colorful.
Yeah, I guess you get a little more contrast. Fair enough. I don't know. I just love the purple one.
There's no real reason for it, I don't think. I want to know why we don't have $500 bills in the States.
Well,
I love that.
Yeah, I guess one of the big problems is with they worry about smuggling and money laundering. And that's also one of the reasons why in Britain they don't have a bigger note than the 50-pound note.
Fair enough. Learn something new every day. Queen high flop, 2 spades out there. Fabrice bets 95,000. Mateos calls.
But that's what Bellagio flags are for.
Currency among poker players. Mateos checks. Does not lead out here. We've seen a lot of that. Check call, then lead out on the turn. This time he decides just to check. Action on Fabrice, and he checks it back.
Card. Jack.
River's the jack of clubs.
River's the jack of clubs. Mateos, first to speak.
A little over half the pot.
255.
Yeah, that's 255,000.
That's 255,000.
Fabrice calls.
All right, Fabrice makes the call.
Fabrice called with a high
Queen
card.
6
yeah.
again.
Oh,
Queens and jacks,
Yeah.
which is the best hand.
Mateos, value betting with the queen.
pretty straightforward hand there.
Fabrice called with king high.
Reese may be calling, hoping for a chop, or just hoping that.
Well, Mateos is not betting a king,
Mateos
do you?
had air.
You think Mateos should bet a king?
I don't think he would, and I don't think he should necessarily, but Fabrice might have been hoping for a chop.
Fabrice could barely beat the board.
Obviously that or beating the misdraw. I mean, Mateos has to take a stab at it if he has nothing too, most likely.
Well, Mateos just has increased his stack by 11%. He's up to 4.6 million. Continues to be about a 3-2 chip advantage for Fabrice.
I want to see some more overbetting. That's exciting. Come on, guys.
Yeah, for our viewers and for us, the last 40 minutes of the last level was very exciting. I'm not sure if Mateos really enjoyed it very much. 390,000 difference between first and second place. That and the coveted World Series of Poker bracelet.
Fabrice folds a button.
Oh, and that's why 8-3.
Yeah, and he was dominated. Fabrice just timing is really good recently.
No doubt that flop was coming out 8-8-6, and Fabrice would have gone, would have doubled his opponent up. Now, when you're sitting down at the poker player, and you're sitting down at the table as a poker player, you're obviously, you're watching your opponents, you're analyzing the players at the table, trying to get, you know, a read on how they play, what their tendencies are. How different is that at the table than it is in the commentary booth? Where do you find it easier?
It's a little bit of both. Sometimes when you're at the table, you can pick up things or talk to the players and get other reads that maybe you'd only get if the camera happened to be on the player at the time. So you do miss some of it, but here in the booth, we're very focused. We're watching a screen. We're talking about it. We're guessing all the time. We're fully engaged. So that really helps a lot as well, I think. And that just being, we're from a generation that's raised to look at screens and focus on them. We've grown up watching TV and using computers. Here we have it in front of us, and it's a very easy medium for us to process. So the booth has its advantages as well.
If I could just play poker from here, it'd be great.
You should play online.
If the graphics were this good, I would.
Right, right.
Mateos raises on the button. I'm sorry, Fabrice raises on the button. Mateos calls.
9 of diamonds, 8 of clubs.
9, 8, queen, 2 diamonds. Mateos is donk lead.
That's 125,000.
He's done a good job establishing a lead-out game with not only the nuts, but other hands, so it keeps his opponents guessing and creates some scenarios where maybe he can pick up some pots that he might otherwise have to concede. It also runs the danger of building big pots out of position.
And sometimes he might want to do this. So the bet from Mateos and the raise from Fabrice. And Fabrice has raised these lead-out bets the last few times.
And it was a pretty quick raise, too.
I think Mateos knows what he's doing.
It's a 10?
Oh, wow, if that isn't just the...
How sick are you if you actually had 2 pair? What a turn card. I mean, you still like your 2 pair probably, but it's...
well, yeah, I'm a little worried about getting it to showdown now.
Yeah. Mateos checks. Pot is 820,000. And Fabrice is not slowing down.
It's a good card for him in general when he's raising, because I mean, he's raising presumably with his semi-bluffs. And
when he bets here, does he have minimum a jack in his hands? Is he ever betting 2 pair?
He could still just be betting a high diamond at this point.
No, okay, he'd definitely be bluffing. I'm saying if he's betting for value.
I don't think he'd be betting the 2 pair for value.
So so basically, if he's betting for value on the turn, he's got a jack, he's got diamonds, or
yeah, maybe top 2 pair, but oh wow, the royal flush!
Are you kidding me?
It's such a good card for him.
And look at Mateos. Mateos flopped 2 pair.
Yeah. That could have been.
That could have been the hand right
the tournament. They both could have got it in on that flop. And Soulier could have won the tournament right there.
You've got to be kidding me. And Mateos has got to be sitting there going, what do I have to do?
Dodges, you know, a lot of players would have played a huge pot there. It could have really limited Mateos' chances of winning this tournament.
The fact that Mateos let out on that board would be indicative of, like, you'd think that he was trying to build a pot.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you surprised that he didn't re-raise?
No, not incredibly, because they're still so deep, and there's still some cards to come, and he wants to maybe sneak up on Fabrice as well. So I don't think it would have been horrible to raise again, but then when Fabrice re-raises or flats and the scary card like a 10 of diamond comes and you're out of position, now you're playing a massive pot that you've built out of position, and you might have to fold like you did there, and it would have just been a bigger pot he had to fold.
I'll tell you one thing. If the pots aren't getting big on a queen 9, 8, 2 diamond board when one player has queen 9 and the other guy has king jack of diamonds,
right,
we could be in here for quite some time.
One short of the royal, the 1 pip less than a royal flush. Fabrice is hot.
But it's not just, he's hot, and Mateos is catching really, really good 2-pair hands.
Yeah, Mateos has got to be happy that he got away with almost the minimum there, maybe.
I think you would have been happier if the turn was just a black deuce, though.
Or yes, yes. That'd be a little bit easier.
He had to be pretty sick when he got raised and he called, and the turn is a 10 of diamonds. Like the absolute worst card in the deck right there.
Right. I mean, interesting if Fabrice had just checked back, maybe let him hit the miracle queen or 9.
Who knows, right? It's pretty sick. I mean, it's not even like he had bottom 2 that he could be counterfeited. I mean, he had top 2 pair on a queen 9-8 board and managed to lose just 300,000.
Right.
Ace 410.
Ace 410 rainbow. Mateos in position. Check from Fabrice. Mateos bets. Fabrice calls. Pot now 410.
Turn, queen.
Turn card is the queen of spades.
C3 checks.
Fabrice checks.
Mateos not slowing down here.
Bets.
He bets 210,000 now. 235, pardon me.
Enough to get Soleil to fold. Nice bluff by Mateos.
Gets Fabrice to fold what ended up being 3rd pair. Yeah, I'll stick with my pick. I'll stick with my Mateos pick.
Okay, all right.
The fact that he only lost 300,000 when he flops top 2, I feel good. Well, you can see his body language and his mannerisms. He's, whether it was the break or whether it's just a couple of hands, he's definitely settled himself a little bit.
Yes, but he's still facing some adversity here, and I think he's found some gumption, and he's fighting the good fight. He's not broken.
Well, that's for sure. These levels are 90 minutes long. So even the next level, we're just playing 30,000, 60,000.
Yeah.
There's over 11 million chips in play. So you're talking about even at the next level, the average stack will be 95 big blinds.
Which is enough to play poker for a little bit of time.
The level after that is 40,000, 80,000. At that point, the average stack will be 57 big blinds.
Card is the queen of spades.
Yeah, we could be here for hours conceivably. Probably not likely. It'll probably slide one way or the other, but
Check's good.
If you like heads-up poker, order in a pizza, get a case of beer, and have some fun.
Turns the jack of clubs.
Pretty small pot here. Mateos checks it, checks down. Looks like Mateos is going to have it.
Oh, you want to see it?
And he does with ace high.
They're good. They're good.
Is he good, yeah? Sorry.
Mateos now up over 4.5 million. And Adrian's poker results only date back to last fall, as he's only 19. But he already has one 6-figure score to his credit. He won the Estrellas Poker Tour main event, a 1,000 euro buy-in back in January, collecting just over 100,000 euros. This is his first ever World Series of Poker cash. His career earnings currently stand at around 300,000 American.
that's probably a pretty big field he had to overcome in the Estrellas main event too. That was probably over 400 players.
6 raises to 100,000.
Adrian raises to 100,000.
I have no idea if he plays online or what his online name is, but my guess is he does.
I think it's it would be a very good guess.
Say that he plays online?
Say that he's played online. He's clicked the mouse a few times.
Well, he's on 4.6 million. Fabrice Soulier, one of the most accomplished players in French poker history with a gold bracelet. He won in the 10K horse event in 2011 for over $600,000. Fabrice His career earnings stand at 4.1 million before this, so he will be just behind Elke and David Benjamin on France's all-time money list.
Button is hit 6.
Soulier's tournament results date back to 2000 and include 5 World Series of Poker final tables,
Gonna be
a
here till
WPT
Sunday, you know
final
that?
table, a 3rd place finish in the Partouche Poker Tour main event, and a 49th place run in the 2009 World Series of Poker main event. So he shown proficiency in not just a 10K horse event, but in many no-limit events as well.
Yeah, he's played a lot of cards on a lot of circuits, on a lot of countries, or in a lot of countries.
And apparently he's 44 years old.
Hit 6.
Oh, is that right?
100.
Looks good for 44.
That's according to my TV director.
Flop.
Fair enough.
He looks 44. How about that?
5, king.
Flop is king of diamonds, 5 of hearts,
Checks.
king of clubs.
Hit 6. That's
Check Adrian, you got
90,000.
90,000.
Adrian, I think he's just kind of trying to win this one here. I don't think he has the king or super strong hand.
This is one of those, I always think paired boards are so interesting because it's one of those spots where, yeah, you know I know I don't have the king. But I also know you don't have the king too, so let's see who wins this.
Right, and he's slowing down now.
10 of hearts on the river.
Would you bet a deuce for value?
That's tough. I think you could if you think Fabrice is just calling you down with an ace,
Hit 3 bet.
which he conceivably would there.
Well, Fabrice is actually going to bet now. He bets 130,000. You can certainly bet a 5 for value, right?
I think so. I think Mateos calls off. He might have hit the deuce on the turn.
Kings and deuces, kings.
Oh no, he hit the 10 on
he
the
hit
river.
10.
Yeah.
So Fabrice was betting the deuce.
Yeah.
Win this spot.
And Mateos hit the 10. Good river card. Well, that's a change. Mateos hitting the river.
And that's where maybe if Soulier had taken a page from the Adrian Mateos poker book and led the turn.
Dominic Nietzsche watching from the crowd. Nietzsche came in 3rd place for 400,000 euros, and he adds that to his career earnings of about 2.4 million. So he is very quickly approaching the 3 million lifetime earnings mark.
Pretty
Dominic
good
Nietzsche.
for a guy of his age.
Yeah, he is one of the many good young German players.
There are
Fabrice
quite a
takes
few
that
of
one.
them. They have a great work ethic in general and community among these German players, where they talk a lot. They do a lot of work outside or off the felt, of going through the numbers and talking a lot about theory, and it really does show when they compete.
It's not an accident, you know. It's always funny when the debate of whether this is a skill game or not comes up, and I just laugh at that because you look at the results and
6 raises to 100,000.
it's never an accident who made the final table. And you look at the guys like a Jason Kuhn, who I know puts tons of time into the game. Phil Hellmuth, who won this event last year, has worked on his game extensively over the last few years to kind of revamp it and, you know, get it into this next millennium. You know, Daniel Negreanu. People talk about it all the time. There's nobody who works harder on his game than Daniel Negreanu. And as you mentioned, the Germans, and we see them time and time again making final tables.
Yeah, it's just kind of a common theme in life, and people might like to think, oh, you know, a poker player lifestyle is so easy, but it's just like anything. It takes hard work, and when a lot of people are doing something, the ones that work the hardest tend to make some of their own luck.
Fabrice raises, Mateos calls. Flop is 7 high. Rainbow. Fabrice's friends, fans, supporters, standing right behind him.
Quick call.
Yep. Check, bet, call. Expect a lead out here on a paired board.
Oh, wow. That's
Let's see.
clairvoyant.
Nope, Mateos checks. And Fabrice checks it back.
Jack of hearts in the river.
This is something that Roger Harabedian was so good at. He was getting such thin value from Seidel. He'd be betting a deuce here, getting called by ace high. Even if the turn was a 10 and the river was a queen, he'd bet a 4 for value and get called by worse.
Right, yeah.
It was just uncanny.
Roger loves to bet thin. He loves to bet in general.
Mateos is cutting out some betting chips. Those red chips, 25,000 each, and it looks like 250.
I think Adrian might have a missed sort of straight type draw here, but Soulier may not have a strong enough hand to call. And he does.
Well, looks like he's going to call. Neither one of these players likes to lay down in.
No, it's tough. Heads up. It's tough.
Nope, he lays
he
it
does
down.
lay it down.
He thought about it, and then he lays it down, and you were right.
No,
you weren't.
Mateos
Sorry.
had a pair. He had a pair. He was going for value, I guess.
I actually read it the other way around for a second.
Yeah.
So Fabrice considered calling with queen high. I don't think queen high's. If you're going to call with queen high because you think your opponent's weak, shouldn't you be raising?
Yeah, that's another one of those spots where if he does raise, he probably folds out the deuce. And he folds out the draws as well. But he also folds out the sort of merged hands that he doesn't beat. So I would argue that it would be better to raise there.
Sure.
Don't look now. Mateos back over 5 million chips.
Yep.
And this is getting closer and closer to a dead heat. Fabrice with only about an 800, well, say a 900,000 chip lead.
6 makes it 100.
We are halfway through this level.
100,000. Raise call.
I wonder if Fabrice does call that last pot with an ace high. And that's basically what you're thinking if you're betting with the pair of twos there.
I think he does call him with an ace high. He might have called him with a king. There was no king out there. I think he might call the king.
He might.
He was about an inch away from calling with queen high.
I don't know if it was an inch away. I think he was just kind of showboating there, maybe a little bit more too.
Maybe. Check raise from Fabrice.
Fabrice raises to 205,000.
On a now last time he check raised on a board like this, it was king 6-6, and all he had a pair of kings.
Right.
And he not only did he check raise, but he got 3 streets of value. He check raised, then he bet the turn, and then he bet the river. This time, just got an ace.
Yep, and he was right. He had the best hand. He was out of position. It wasn't that strong of a holding, but it's hard for Mateos to continue without a significant piece of his flop, which heads up. We've seen a lot of flops. People aren't going to have a significant piece that often. Good aggression by Fabrice.
Well, there it is. The gold bracelet, the money. Think anybody noticed if I just went downstairs and just took it all?
I would guess, I mean, maybe not right away.
Right.
But eventually.
I'm pretty stealthy.
Maybe they would
People have called me
notice
the
it after
ninja.
like the 15-minute delay.
Right, yeah.
When someone calls in, did you see that on the live stream?
Who was that? Ooh, that was David Ninja Tuckman.
Yeah.
King 8-8. Yeah. Probably not going to get away with it, huh?
Probably
Maybe
not
I'll just work on my poker game and see if I can win one of these.
There you go.
5 of diamonds on the turn. It went check, check. Mateos out of position.
You get to play the employee event in the first event of the World Series of Poker every summer, the bracelet event that Chad Holloway won this last year. Are you eligible for that?
I am eligible for that, but I have not been able to play the last couple of years because we do the live stream every summer. So
Right.
I cover all the final tables.
But couldn't you maybe have someone just stand by in case you made the final table and give yourself a shot at a bracelet there?
Why don't you, you know what? You can be my agent. You can talk to Ty Stewart about that. See if I can maybe get a
It
couple
would
of
be
days.
a good story for
I
you.
can get a couple of days here off here and there so I can play some events.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's
Just
see
the
how
employee
you
event.
let's see how you do in the employee event first, and then we'll go from there.
I did, after we covered 32 events in the summer of 2012. I was able to play the main event after that, which was fun, which And then last summer, after 32 events, I could have played the main event, but I went home because I just had.
Yes, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. My fiance had just given birth to a beautiful baby boy, so I wanted to go home, spend some time with the family. But next summer, if I'm not doing commentary, I plan on playing the main event.
That's exciting.
Yeah, there's $10,000 of more dead money in there.
That's
good news for you, right? Exciting for you. Fabrice Soulier with the ducks and the check mark. France against Spain here. Heads up for the bracelet and for what essentially is a 390,000 heads-up battle. When was the last time you played a heads-up battle for nearly 400,000 euros? Not you.
Oh.
I'm asking the proverbial you that's out there, because you actually have.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's still pretty big. I don't think I've played a heads-up battle close to that, but not quite.
You must have been a high roller.
Well, I think the Bay 101, it was around $400,000 maybe, or $300-some thousand.
A raise from Fabrice. This is a bit of a bigger raise from Fabrice. He raised to 130,000. You notice that? I haven't seen that big a raise. Generally, his raises are like 105, 110. Right. This one was 130,000. Mateos called. Fabrice with a continuation bet of 135.
Mateos,
and there's the call.
Kind of has a sort of confused look that he's giving on his face.
I wonder if he's thinking the same thing. Why the bigger bet this time?
Yeah.
I mean, he almost made it 3x pre-flop.
Adrian checks.
I think Adrian might have an all right piece on this flop, based on what I'm seeing. Fabrice goes back and checks his cards. Now he's going to be a little more measured in how he progresses in this pot.
C3, 280.
Now this double barrel has, more often than not, meant that Fabrice has it. But we've seen over the last 50 minutes or so, he is more than capable of bluffing, and this is a 280,000 chip bet. And there's the call, and this pot now 1.1 million.
Right.
If Mateos wins this pot, he might be in the chip lead, or it's going to be super close.
I mean, I would guess Mateos has like an ace-9 or an ace-10 here.
So you're not betting a jack for value, that's for sure. If you're Fabrice.
If I'm Fabrice, probably not in this scenario. So now he's trying to think if he does have the big hand, and he did make the big raise, I would guess he had sort of like an ace-king type hand.
Spades got there.
It did get there. It's less likely for Fabrice to have a spades type hand unless it was an ace-king suited, ace-queen suited type hand.
That's a big bet. It looks like about 700,000.
Fabrice bets 730,000.
730,000 into 1.1 million, and it's not a snap call. We have not seen either one of these players make big laydowns. Three-handed, Fabrice laid down 2 pair, but heads up, neither one of these players has made a big laydown.
Mateos is pretty clearly, it looks like he's not thinking of raising. It's just a matter of whether he's going to call here.
With this bet size, what's the worst hand that Fabrice has if it's a value hand?
I think it's probably ace-queen.
Ace-queen plus?
Ace-queen plus.
For value.
He could maybe show up with an ace-10, but I would guess ace-queen.
And Mateos, maybe a weak ace?
This ace-10 only beats so much unless you're thinking he's going to call off with the jack. A few of the other aces got there. Yeah, he could have an even weaker ace for sure. That's definitely a possibility.
The 10 does play.
But I think it's important to note that the change in sizing pre-flop.
Yeah, Fabrice raised a little bit more pre-flop. He made it 130,000 instead of his normal 110, and he has triple barreled. He bet 135, 280, and now 730.
Right. So I would guess he's usually doing that with hands that are some kind of big ace or some kind of pair. So.
Call.
Oh wow! And no, Fabrice is just ace, queen 6. But yeah, ace 10
Just
for,
a blow up. And Mateos is now our chip leader. And that's a tough call. I really think that's a tough call because, as you just mentioned, you said if it's a value bet from Fabrice, you said the worst hand he has is ace 10, probably ace queen plus.
Right.
So ace 10, you know, if you're not beating any of your opponent's value range, well then ace 10 is really just a bluff catcher.
Right. And I thought I guessed it right at least one time there for Adrian. I was happy about that.
5.
Always feels good, you know, when you have an instinct that it
And just like that, and let's see how the Frenchman reacts.
Yeah, give me 2.
Mateos now at 6.1 million.
And another
Fabrice at 5.1.
change of the chip lead.
I knew I should have put money on Mateos. Ah.
Not over yet.
I like him now.
Not over yet.
Yep.
It's hard for me to say if it's a good call or they're just calling every time anyway. It's a good call, obviously, but
yeah, it's a good call. It's weird that Fabrice is mixing up his bet sizing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se. It's interesting that he chose the queen 6 suited to be the hand that he did it with. Maybe he's just trying to be tricky and throw him off.
Mateos had the ace of spades. In a heads-up situation, does that really factor into anything?
It factors in some because then it's less likely maybe that your opponent is playing a hand with a nut spade draw really heavily. But then again, with the ace on board,
it kinda
cancels out some of those scenarios. So it's not huge in this one, I don't think.
I mean, if the top card on the board was a king, then you could think, well, maybe he's doing this with the nut spade draw.
He has less bluffs in his range, maybe. Yeah.
Well, Fabrice went from not showing one bluff at all through the first 4 levels of this final table to bluffing about 5 times in this level.
And that's sort of the nature of playing heads up, too. If you're not bluffing a significant amount of the time when you're playing heads up, you're just not trying hard enough to win. It's impossible to have it all the time.
And you can see Fabrice here raises to 110, back to his normal raise size.
Yeah, well, that last one didn't work out so well. So let's go back to plan A.
I wonder what was in his head, like why with queen 6 of diamonds, this is the hand I want to raise to 130. Although queen 6 is the hand that Mateos had both times. Remember when he put that big 1 million chip bet out there with 6s and 4s? It was queen 6. Later on, when he bet with when he had queens and jacks, and he got called down by king high.
Yeah.
He had queen 6 there.
Right.
Is there any part of it, and maybe I'm just manufacturing this, is there any part of it that Fabrice is thinking, I want to win with this hand so I can show it to him?
Maybe. He's saying, see, I can win with the queen 6 as well.
Queen 6 was pretty good before the river.
C'est possible.
And queen 6 might still be good. But Fabrice is telling a different story. Kind of a smallish bet. Bets 250 into 750.
Queen.
Yes, and it is always a possibility that he just grabbed the wrong chip and just went with it.
Queen 6. Oh, wow. Fabrice now starting to get the bad beat because Mateos catches a... They both have the same 2 pair, but the jack plays.
The queen 6 just laughing at Fabrice in every scenario.
Yeah, he's probably lost about 8 million chips either against or with queen 6. Yeah, he had turned 2 pair. And after getting, both players flopped the queen, Mateos had the better kicker.
Fabrice lets out a big sigh.
Yep. Fabrice turned 2 pair, and then the river king counterfeited that 2 pair.
Now back to 3-2 with Mateos in the lead.
Back and forth. I tell you, I feel like we're in round 7 of a heavyweight bout.
Yeah, I mean, they've both been taking big stabs. They've been playing some bigger pots. That's what's great about a deep stacked heads-up battle. It really is a battle.
I like it because, when you're playing 9-handed, it's really about the cards.
Much more so, yeah.
And obviously I'm generalizing. But when you're playing, 4-handed, 3-handing, and especially heads-up, it's so much more about the player you're playing against than playing the man or the woman.
Right. You have so many decisions to make in so many scenarios with such wide ranges that it really, you can't pretend anymore. There's nothing to hide behind. You can't just wait for a good hand because you're in the middle of it all the time.
And generally speaking, even though we saw earlier on the deck hits, you know, sometimes the deck, you get hit in the head deck. Let me try that one more time. Generally speaking, if the deck is hitting you in the face, it's not going to go on forever.
Right.
Fabrice takes that one down, raise and take it. Mateos not defending with the Jack-3 offsuit. McLean Carr, David Tuckman in the booth for the 7th annual World Series of Poker Europe. We've been just outside Paris for about 2 weeks. We've awarded 7 bracelets. And we still have one more to award.
Raise. 6 raises to 100.
Fabrice, by the way, with 22 World Series of Poker cashes.
Yeah, Fabrice has played a lot of tournaments. He's got a lot of experience. He's waited till the very end here to really open up his game and fire some big bluffs. Let's see if he continues to do so. I'm hoping that he does. I like to see courageous plays. It's always entertaining to watch.
105.
Fabrice raises to 105,000.
And a call from 6.
Hey, green calls. Flop is
10 high flop, 2 clubs.
C6 checks.
Hey, green checks.
Fabrice has been c-betting a lot more down the stretch.
105.
Fabrice bets 105,000.
And a call.
Hey, green calls. Five of spades on the turn.
6 checks.
Hey, green checks.
Mateos checks,
Checks,
and
check.
Fabrice checks it back.
Slows down this time.
9 of clubs on the river.
River's the club. It's the 9. Mateos, first to act.
6 checks. 3
First
checks.
check.
Pocket eights.
Pocket eights.
Mateos with a pretty strong hand there.
Adrian will win this spot.
Yeah, pocket 8's going to get the check mark in another hand for Mateos.
Fabrice wise to slow down there. Be interesting if the 9 of clubs had come on the turn, giving Fabrice the straight and flush draw.
Yeah, earlier on, he's checked a lot of those back, but that has changed recently. He's playing far more aggressively the last 63 minutes for level 26 than he has earlier on. '13 World Series of Poker Europe. We've had some big news this week. Jackie Glazier wins her first bracelet. Daniel Negreanu wins his 6th bracelet and becomes the first 2-time World Series of Poker Player of the Year. Won back in 2004, and then a decade later, he does it. And if you're wondering how he did it with 10 cashes, 4 final tables, 2 bracelets, a 2nd place finish, and a 4th place finish.
What a great year for Daniel.
Got a lot of tweets coming in wondering if Fabrice showing the straight flush was a mistake.
I don't think it was a mistake. I think he kind of showed it to his rail. Oh, should he have shown it? Oh, okay. I see.
I mean, you make your opponent feel a little better because he got away from 2 pair, and I guess that's where they're going with that.
But he's not giving away too much there. It's a pretty standard play to raise with such a strong straight flush draw and to bet it when
It's
it
also a
gets there.
live stream. You got to assume your opponent's probably going to find out about this about 25 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun. How often you get straight flushes in poker, especially king high? He does a little bit for his fans and shows it around. It's good for the show.
I love the guy who tells me after the fact, oh, I had quads. And you just know, you're like, no, if you had quads, you would have showed it. Because you have to. We show quads, we show straight flushes. That's what we do.
I've buried quads a few times.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Because you didn't get any action and you got you were upset.
Well, no, it's happened more often in cash games than in tournaments.
That makes sense.
$275 is
Another
that.
75,000.
Could you give me some
A
change?
bet for Mateos, and he takes it
No,
down.
Okay, give it, give me.
We've had an action-packed couple of weeks here. We have covered pretty much every event except for event number 1, which is the ladies' event. Jackie Glazier did win that event. Gail Bauman finished in 7th in that event. Event number 2 was a 1,100 euro no-limit hold'em, 659 entries. Henrik Johansson, a pretty well-respected cash game player, plays online a lot, plays high stakes. Won that, took home 129,000 euros. Event 3 was the 5,300 euro mix max, got 140 entries, and Dan O'Brien was, well, just a call away from winning his first ever bracelet. And Dan, if you're listening, my apologies. I don't mean to turn the knife. Dan O'Brien was so close to winning that bracelet. Noah Schwartz also
Good.
made a deep run in that. Lost to the eventual champion, who beat Dan O'Brien as well, Darko Stojanovic. Won that one. And by the way, after he won, he said he was going to Disneyland.
Darko?
Yeah, taking his kids to Disneyland. I think it was Euro Disney, actually. Event 4 had 184 entries, 1,650 euro PLO. As we take a look outside the Casino Barrière at the beautiful lake